disagrees with me. Bill in St. Helens, Oregon. Thanks for watching Free Speech TV. What's up?
Yeah, hi, Tom. First, I'd like to strongly suggest that you actually read the Constitution. I would like you to read Article 14, Section 3. Now, let me get into my rant.
Okay.
I agree with you about the Supreme Court issue. They don't have the authority. They were never given the authority. But the concept of a Congress...
There is no Article 14.
Pardon?
There's no Article 14. The highest article is Article 7.
Amendment 14, Section 3. I'm sorry, Amendment 14, Section 3. Anyway.
The 14th Amendment, all right.
Yeah, having said that, you know, the idea that, let's say Congress passes a law saying, oh, that's right, that they've suspended our right to a trial by jury or charges, or to know our accusers or what the charges are against us. Maybe we'll call it the National Defense Authorization Act. Now, in every other area of our legal system, if a judge makes a ruling for which he has no standing, it's called a nullity. You can't appeal it. You can't get it nullified because it's null and void on its face.
Right.
If Congress passes legislation that clearly violates the Constitution, it's a nullity. It was without force, null and void. My question to you, why did I, as a military officer, why does every member of the government, federal, state, and local, take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and yet if Congress chooses to violate the Constitution, which they took an oath to protect and defend, and the President signs it, and this thing goes into law, we now have to wait, until the next election to show them our disapproval and vote them out. I think Amendment 14, Section 3 covers that pretty clearly.
I don't see where it does.
Is there nothing but criminals?
What language in the this is the let's see, Section 14, Article 3.
No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elected of president and vice president or hold any office.
Well, previously having taken an oath as a member of Congress.
To protect and defend the Constitution.
No. It says this. Listen, do you understand the history of the 14th Amendment? It came out of the Civil War. Article 3 of this, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment says, if you are a member, here it is in plain English, if you are a member of the Confederate Forces of America, and you were a commissioned officer, you cannot serve in the United States Congress. That's what it says.
That's not what it says. I'm reading it right here in front of me. That's not what it says. It's very clear what it says.
It says, if if you have taken any other oath to support, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof, you may not be a member of Congress. They're talking. This was passed in 1868. This was the radical Republicans they were referred to as. Thaddeus Stevens was the principal author of this. The radical Republican. Go back and read the history of them. It's an amazing thing. This was to punish Confederate war officers.
Tom, this is all wonderful. What its intent was, all I'm doing is read. It seems to me like its primary intent was one of the few places in the Constitution where there's actually any teeth.
No, it is, but it says that. But you have to have taken an oath to another government, in this case, the Confederate States of America, that you would help them overthrow the United States of America. So, at the moment, I don't know of any other nations that are officially at war with us that are seeking to overthrow us.
So if you violate the Constitution, you have not rebelled or engaged in insurrection against it?
No.
I clearly think it defines that way.
Who has?
It's like you can't pass an unconstitutional... Tom, these are nullities. When Congress passes laws...
Only if somebody decides they are.
Well, you know what I'd like to know? I'd like to know why it isn't like Aaron Wattada, the sole patriot apparently during the Iraq War, because he says, this is an unconstitutional law, I won't follow it. My question is, why aren't our admirals, why aren't our generals, why aren't the members of the FBI and the CIA and all these organizations, why aren't they standing up and saying, no, I'm not going to follow that law. I don't recognize the constitutionality.
Well, a substantial number of them did. You'll recall
in perpetuity.
You'll recall when the Bush administration first started rolling out some of their daring do, that a lot of people resigned from their administration, and many people have resigned from the military. But the fact of the matter is, it's a tough world out there, and not having a job is a tough world. And most of these people, if it's the law, they salute it, and they don't represent themselves as constitutional scholars. I get your point. But you can't base it on the 14th Amendment. And the word nullity does not appear anywhere in the Constitution. It
doesn't appear anywhere in legal jurisprudence. It's just an understood word. If a judge
then it has no legal basis. I mean, it may appear in the military court
Tom, you made the argument the other day. It really upset me. Was someone said something silly like, "Let's say everybody's got to wear blue noses on Sunday," and you said, "Yeah, the people would probably go into the streets and say that's not okay." But actually, the next election we could vote them out for saying that they can't. They told us they had. I
That's our system.
I don't recognize the legitimacy. Tom, I guess my point is I've asked for this forever. I think every single time Congress passes legislation, they should be mandated to define exactly where in the Constitution they get the authority to pass that legislation.
Well, then that's going to be very easy. They can simply say it's to promote the general welfare of the nation.
No, that just doesn't work. It's like, what scares me is a few years ago the head of the ACLU was having an argument on a talk show, and the gist of it was he was making the point that the piece of legislation was unconstitutional. I love it. The moderator said, it's not Congress's responsibility to prove that legislation is constitutional. It's your responsibility to prove that it's not. I think we've let this whole nation let Congress turn this on its head. No. I think Congress always has an absolute mandatory
I think
right.
Arguably that's the case with the Military Commissions Act. But there's nothing in the Constitution that says that Congress has to prove that something is constitutional. The test of constitutionality is defined in the Constitution as the presidential veto. That's it. And the elections. The president, if Congress passes a law that the president considers to be unconstitutional, he can veto that. The executive branch is given the power to veto legislation. If 2/3 of the Congress can overturn his veto, well, if you can get a supermajority, then the majority of the representatives of the people actually think it's constitutional. That's the check and balance right there. But it has nothing to do with the Supreme Court.
Just ask your next 10 callers if they think that the Congress is corrupted beyond redemption. Just ask them that question.
Yeah, well, given the Supreme Court rulings over the last 20 years, the answer is damn near yes, although there are still some good members in Congress. Bill, thank you for the call.